The new decade's not even a year old, and the little string of desoxyribonucleic acid, known as DNA, or more commonly known as a virus, is keeping the world paralyzed. COVID-19 has indented the world's economy in an unprecedented way. Whole populations are unsettled, governments uncertain what to do, launching huge stimulus packages for the economy, and national banks are leaving interest rates at a record low. The good news is that over the last 150 years, humanity has learned how to deal with viruses, and the development of vaccines and the deployment all over the planet is a well-rehearsed drill by now. There may be more doubt over our successful response to a different channel, a far more complex one, which is the prevention of climate change and the replacement of fossil fuels by renewable sources of energy over the next decade. Please join me in the next 30 minutes, together with my panelists, to explore what are the learnings in that battle we can derive from the last 10 years. What will be the key success factors for the next 10 years? What does the COVID crisis and its fallout mean in all that? And how can we together truly deploy the pipeline and the huge opportunity that established technologies in renewable power are giving to us? I'm Simon Leupold, Chairman Offshore Wind of Macquarie GIG, and here are my two distinguished guests.
Welcome to everyone. My name is Andreas Nauen and I'm the CEO of Siemens Gamesa. My association with the wind energy industry goes back nearly 30 years when I joined Siemens Power Generation back in '91. Over my career, I've experienced different geography and different geographical markets. In onshore, of course, we were global. In offshore, we are currently going global. And I think that makes the whole industry quite interesting, and it also shows how this industry developed over these 15 years that I've been part of it. Yeah, one of the questions that I was asked to talk about is what did go wrong over the last decade from an industrial perspective, and why was it wrong? Interesting, normally I'm quite an optimist, and I'd rather talk about it, what went right. And maybe I start with that, because on the one hand, we have been a super successful industry from being a niche and being just a side business. We are now clearly mainstream in so many aspects. So by most metrics, our industry should be regarded as a success. But what we got right, that we grew, that we drove it to a global business, also is one reason why we partly got it wrong. Maybe I explain that a little. So during the past decade of 20 years, more or less, we've developed and delivered technology that has proven to be resilient, to be effective, to be excellent value for money. And in doing so, we've established an industry that is now really quite literally a part of the landscape for providing clean and affordable energy everywhere, from Texas to the Europe's North Sea, from Northern Africa to South Africa, from Vietnam to Japan. So more or less on the whole globe, we supply clean and affordable energy. Then I also look at the condition of the manufacturers of this industry. Even the most successful players amongst us are struggling to make money. Many have already disappeared. We saw bankruptcies, consolidation of the markets, refinancing becomes increasingly difficult, and generally a lack of stability. And this, I believe, threatens our ability to deliver the scale of wind that will be required in the future. Something went wrong. We have, to some extent, been the victims of our own success. And a number of factors, internal and external to the OEMs, have contributed to that. And in a highly competitive race to develop a competitive source of green electricity, we allowed pricing to be driven down so fast and so far that it has become nearly unsustainable. The withdrawal of subsidies to renewable energies and the move to auction had a profound and rapid impact to the economics of the industry. And the structural change and the way the industry responded has damaged the sector, I believe. On the other hand, because of the cost increase, interest in renewables around the world is growing a lot. With that increase in demand, we have to manage both the international growth and also the expectation of doing it at very low prices. And this is at the moment the balance. I'm not sure whether we as an industry really manage to get it done. Grow and stay profitable, because without growth, we would not be profitable. Without profit, we can't grow. I think that's a very, very interesting balance, which we have not found the perfect solution for yet. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Mechthild Wörsdörfer. I'm the Director for Sustainability, Technology and Outlooks at the International Energy Agency in Paris. I'm overseeing all the work on our scenarios, the flagship publications like World Energy Outlook and Energy Technology Perspectives. I'm looking at the link between energy and climate change, for example. Previously, I worked for more than a decade in the European Commission in the Energy Department, and there I was notably Director for Energy Policy and International Relations. And before I moved to Paris, I was the Director for Renewables, Energy Efficiency, Innovation and Research. When we look backwards in the last decade, what can we learn from it? What are the lessons learned? What mistakes did we do? I can look at 4 areas. I think in the renewables area in the last decade, there were some lack of predictability and stability at national level. So there were more incentives and not enough money, or there was a mismatch. And we could see results on the budget constraints in some countries like Spain and Italy. Another lesson I think we could learn is that the success in some parts of wind and solar in the last decade was bound to not be followed by the same pace of the expansion of the grids. An example here is Germany, with a lot of wind, offshore wind, onshore wind in the north, but there is still a lack of interconnection of a corridor, transmission corridor to the south. Another example, I would say, is the finance sector, where there were for many years a bit of a short-sightedness when it came to investments in clean energy and renewables. I can see that has changed in the last 2-3 years, where the longer time frame of clean energy transition and the need to look at the climate change objectives, not only on a quarterly basis, but on a bit more longer term, has also trickled down in the discussions with the financial community. Now, from these lessons learned and the difficult year of the COVID-19 in 2020 and a lot of the uncertainties, what are my thoughts of the next decade? So in order to fulfill our net zero commitments globally, I think we need to invest and use the momentum of the sustainable recovery plans. The governments and the IEA has done an action plan on sustainable recovery, which could combine creation of jobs, which is the number one worry right now at national and global level, economic growth, and bring down the CO2 emissions, which is the long-term Paris Agreement goal, net zero. So in order to do that, we looked at energy measures which could combine these 3 aspects. And we think that the next 3 years is absolutely crucial, and investments up to $1 trillion a year globally could bring up to 9 million jobs and could make 2019 a peak in CO2 emissions. And these measures are mainly in the area of energy efficiency, for example, renovation, which is job intensive, renewables, wind and solar expansion, grids, and many more activities also in the areas of electric vehicles, transport, and industry. So I'm very much looking forward to the debate today.